welcome to More or Less.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Would you mind introducing yourself? Because I could read your bio, but I feel like we're all about being human.
Yeah.
Share with us who you are.
Well, I am Ella Vos, which is my artist name. My name is Lauren Salamone. But my artist name is Ella Vos. I am a singer, songwriter, performer, producer, visual artist. I like to do all the things.
Yeah.
I've been releasing music under Ella Vos for about 8 years. And I am currently releasing my 4th studio album, which I've self-produced.
So cool.
And that is me.
Love it.
What else?
Love it. In this moment, one word to describe how you're feeling.
One
word. Don't overthink it.
achy.
Achy. Okay. Haven't gotten that one on the show yet, but we will take it. You are honest and real, and we appreciate that.
I am truly achy. I'm sore. My body aches.
For those listening on audio, Ella is several months pregnant.
7.
7 months.
Several
and
is
7 months.
7.
And she is spending her time in New York, which, if you know, you're walking everywhere. So I admire you for being here and fighting the good fight with a human growing inside you.
Thank you.
What is one thing you need more of, one thing you need less of?
I need more. I probably need more alone time. I need less self-judgment. And I need to be less hard on myself.
Same. +1 to both.
Both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Introvert. How much time do you feel like you need to recharge? Actually, let's use this trip as an example.
Okay.
When you get home, how much alone time do you feel like you will need to feel recharged from this trip?
Typically after 2 weeks, I need a week.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get that. But that's what I would need.
A full week to recuperate.
A full week.
Yeah. And realistically, what will you get?
I get a day.
It's better than no days.
I can't wait for Tuesday.
We'll choose to look on the positive. Tuesday's going to be a great day.
It's gonna be a great day.
Great day.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your artist name, Ella Vos.
So Ella Vos is Spanish. It's pronounced Ella Vos in Spanish. It means she, you. And I came up with it while I was pregnant with my firstborn. And his dad is Nicaraguan. And so I wanted to give him, as I was creating this project, I wanted to honor him.
Mm-hmm.
And because the reason I started my artist project was because I was becoming a mother. And before then, I had been touring for other artists and working really on other people's projects. And I had always wanted to pursue my own songwriting career. And it was just, I was kind of fearful of like, you know, to be vulnerable, to share my lyrics outside of myself. Like, again, I'm introverted. So telling someone what was going on in my mind was very daunting. So being pregnant with him gave me this whole new like sense of self and confidence and power. And I was like, I can do this. If I can create life, like, why am I so afraid of, you know, sharing what I have with other people?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be in a big way, but like, I knew it was like, it didn't belong just on my notes app or my diary. And so I began to pursue a career and to honor his, and you know, he inspired me. So Ella Vos was born, and I chose that name while I was in labor with
Did
him.
you really?
I did. It was like on my list. So it wasn't like I came up with it, but it was on a short list. And then while I was sitting on my yoga ball contractions, I was like, Ella Vos is the name I'm making the Instagram right now.
Confirm, confirm, confirm.
Confirm.
Get the handle, get the domain.
I did all the things.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you found out when you were pregnant when you were on tour, right?
Yeah, I was touring for Borns.
Okay.
I was a pianist and a backup singer.
So prior to getting pregnant with your firstborn, prior to Ella Vos doing your own thing, you were a touring musician, right?
Yeah.
That was how
and I thought that was my dream career.
Really?
I did. I was devastated when I found out I was pregnant because I was like, I knew I wouldn't be able to keep touring at the level we were touring at the time. It was like right before he really exploded. And so like we weren't on a tour bus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just, I was part of the band. I wasn't like, I couldn't bring a baby on tour. We weren't in that stage yet.
So you never imagined ever being solo or ever doing your own projects?
Oh no. I thought since I was like 11 that I would. I just didn't know when.
Yeah.
Or how. And like, I just didn't have the confidence, really.
So that's what it came down to.
I also didn't know what I wanted, I didn't know what my purpose would be and like my goal and intention with it and like what my story that I wanted to share would be. So I was really waiting until I had something to say that felt worth saying.
And in tune, becoming a mom felt like your pathway to sharing your voice.
Definitely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
I hope your son knows that he has brought beautiful music into this world.
Yeah, I try not to blow up his ego too much.
The older he gets, the more he's going to hold it against you.
He really does already.
You are incredibly vocal about your own mental health and your journey. And one thing you touched on was that you were devastated when you found out you were pregnant. I think that's something we don't talk about enough in entertainment and music, is that there's this gray area around when a woman decides to have children, or really anyone wants to start a family, that their career then has to drastically shift. Was that kind of what you were feeling? Because I imagine that's kind of the shock that goes through your system of, oh, I haven't done ABC, or for, I'm thinking like female executives, like people are like, I haven't become CEO yet, and like I can't have kids until I do that.
Yeah, I mean, I really believed, I think at the time it's like I didn't see other examples of other women that were doing it, like that hadn't already had success before they had their children. And so without having someone to kind of guide the way as to be like, oh, this is possible, I really felt like I just didn't know, like there was no blueprint.
Right.
In music.
Right.
And if there was, it was, it was quiet, because that's not the message that is being put out in music. It's, you're hearing that you're done at 26.
Yep.
And I was 30 with a baby. I was like, well, I don't know what people, will I get a record deal? Like, luckily it was at a time when, being an independent artist was, it had just really become a financially like viable thing.
This was what, 2017?
This was 2016,
20,
2017. And it was, Spotify was a great source of income for an independent artist. And it really was like, oh, I can do this. I could have a career. I don't need to get a major label deal to support myself and actually put my time into this. It's just sadly not really the case anymore.
No. But even if you zoom out, I do feel like society sends us a message, particularly for women, is that like you can't have both, from the olden days of like you have to choose either, are you going to be a homemaker with kids, or are you going to be a career oriented person? And I'm happy that now, like, I feel like we're now kind of moving towards a world where you can have both, and you should live your dreams. And if that's being a parent, if that's having a career, you can have both. That's totally possible.
You can have both, but you cannot do it all.
Yep.
Which is we've kind of, we've been told, we hear both sides.
Yeah.
That like you can't do both. Like when I would post any photos of my son on socials, I would get the feedback that people thought I was giving up music. I was like,
My God.
why? How? What man with a child is being told?
Also, how do you draw that conclusion?
Yeah, like I just put out an album, like, and then I posted a picture of my son. Like, what makes you think I'm quitting music? Like, I can't do both. And then we're also told that we can do it all, and it's like, and I don't want to be like, no, you can't do it all, like, and put a limitation on it. But like, you can't do it all. You can't do it by yourself. Like, it's
Yeah.
exhausting. You need a support system.
It's doing it all within reason that's doable and capable
Yeah.
for a human being.
You can do a lot, but like, I don't want to do it all.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do the things I enjoy doing.
And I think that's the part that we don't always hear is like you have to sit down with what your priorities are and what your dreams are
Exactly.
and find a way to make that happen in means that are realistic.
Yeah. I want to excel in the things that I am passionate about and I know that I will do well in and will bring me joy. And I know there's a lot of things that could do that, and I have to pick the ones that are the most important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise you spread yourself too thin, you get burnout.
When you visualize your life having a second child, what are some of the things that you think will fill your cup?
So I've been kind of shifting what I want my career to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I love being an artist. I will always work on my artist project, but I am at this point not interested in being out of town on tour a lot of the year. And so to kind of fill that time, I have begun writing and producing and developing other artist projects. And I feel like it's so creatively fulfilling for me. And I've done it for myself enough that I feel like I have the tools. I know how to guide someone. And it's nice to not have to like be so deep in my own thoughts about what I have to say and
Yes.
to listen to what someone else wants to write about.
You're able to kind of put your own thoughts and feelings in a box to support someone else's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so cool. I feel that way about some of the projects I'm involved in too. It's like it's kind of nice when I don't feel like everything is life and death for me.
Yeah.
And I can just, work with someone else and help fuel their dreams or, hear where they're coming from and do whatever I can to support them. But it's not like their life is in my hands.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah. I also am just like, I'm really enjoying being home for the first time in my entire life. Like, I've always loved traveling and loved touring and loved being away and experiencing the rest of the world. And for the first time, I'm like, I just really love my home.
Yeah.
And I love my partner so much, and I love being with him. And he doesn't want to travel. I mean, like, we have our music studios at home. We live in the mountains. It's gorgeous. It's a dream. So I was like, how can I make this work and still be busy and fulfilled? Because I'm a very, like, I need to be busy. Like, I get bored if I don't have a project.
But you're building a life in this new chapter, like, on your terms of, hey, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And that's really empowering. And I think it also speaks to this confidence journey that you're talking about of, you've evolved over time and taking the reins of this is what I want. This is the life I'm building and adjusting accordingly. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your other baby, which is this upcoming album.
Yes.
How does it feel? This is number 4?
4.
Wow. What is different about this album compared to your past work?
Every album has been very different.
Yeah, like has its own world.
Has its own world, has its own theme, has the way that it's been written and created, the people involved. This one is especially different because I self-produced it. It's my first self-produced work. And I went into it with kind of more vision than I had ever had. And I knew that I wanted to incorporate my strengths, especially since I was like, I'm doing it, a lot of it myself. And, you know, what are my tools? What's in my toolbox that I should use? And I really hadn't done, I grew up studying classical piano, and piano was really my first voice. Like I didn't share. I was really shy. I had a speech impediment. Piano was how I expressed emotion and figured things out. And so I wanted to bring back piano, at least writing on piano and starting on piano for this album. So I've brought my childhood piano with me everywhere I've ever lived.
That's so great.
Yeah, she's great. She has broken her leg twice.
She's
But
still standing.
She sounds amazing. And so I wrote all the songs, with the exception of one, on her, and recorded her on most of the tracks, and arranged the songs on the piano, which really changed the vibe of like the structure. It just like it directed the songs in a different way.
Yeah. And from the singles I've heard so far, like National Anthem, feels very pro-feminine energy. Would you say that kind of sums up the project of stepping into your power,
yes.
confidence, empowerment? That's the vibe I get as the listener.
The theme that emerged as I was like started collecting the songs for the album was like, okay, there is strength in your softness. There is power in leaning into your feminine qualities. Like we are so, especially I think in any entertainment industry, you know, there's a sense of like you have to have a lot of grit and kind of be tough and bulldog your way through. And that didn't work for me. And I think realizing that this was a more suitable path for me, and probably, and like a lot of women that I know as well, and men that I know. And I think being able to hold both your masculine and feminine and balance them and know that both have, they both have something to offer at different times in your life. I think bringing in the feminine to this album helped me write from a different perspective and really write something that felt like something I want to listen to and enjoy and feel really proud of.
I love that. Strength and softness.
Yeah.
A very underrated quality that I think we all possess. It's just a matter of if we choose to display it to the world.
Exactly.
It's so interesting even to hear you say that, because I feel like as someone who's been working in music now almost a decade, which is crazy, I very much had that grit hustle mindset, especially living in New York. It's kind of just ingrained in you. But I found once I started the podcast and was more open about my mental health and sharing what I actually feel like and what emotions I'm going through, it then sparked courage for other people to open up. And it actually gave me more opportunities because people know that I'm open about that, because it is still so stigmatized to actually be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Or no, that style of leadership just doesn't work for me, or that work style doesn't work for me, and I'm not going to tolerate that, and I'm still going to be successful anyway, in my own way, what that means to me. Right. So it's just interesting. It's like we all can choose to tap into that and embrace masculine and feminine in times when you need to do so, but it is a balance that we go through each and every day. You choose how you're going to show up.
Yeah.
It's my long tangent. Sorry.
I know. It was beautiful.
On that note too, you've been very public about your hardships, having gone through postpartum, having gone through a divorce, having gone through cancer, what is the underlying encouragement that allows you to be so open? Because I don't imagine everyone would be. And I think I respect that so much about you, that you've been able to be public about, hey, like, this is the shit that is happening right now. And like, I'm not okay. And I'm going to
Yeah.
share it on socials, in my art, in
Yeah.
interviews. And I find that so admirable because, yeah, I don't think every artist would be willing to wear their heart on their sleeve.
It's scary. I mean, you have to be ready. You have to do it in a way that still protects you. I don't think it's necessarily like great to just share every single detail, and you have to do it mindfully still, and know that like you're taking care of yourself at the same time, because you can really hurt yourself in that process of oversharing. And sometimes, like, I think you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself at the same time. And but to answer your question, the first question, I wasn't. I don't think people growing up would ever say that I was like an open book. I was very much a secret keeper. I was very secretive, elusive. People didn't know what was going on in my mind. I like really enjoyed that mystery. And when I first started the artist project, my collaborator really wanted to lean into that mystery.
Okay.
And it was like, it was 2016, 17. Mysterious artist was definitely in vogue. And but I ended up writing this really vulnerable song about something very real and personal. And I didn't share I had the song for about a year before I told anyone what it was about. And like the night of release, I was like, you know what? Just, I think other people should know. And that was the driving point, was like, if I keep this a secret, what good am I doing as an artist? If my purpose is to help people feel seen, and see that other people, that we're not alone, and that we're all sharing experiences together. If I don't share that, it's like, it's just noise. So I decided to share what it was about. And I thought that was going to just like end my career immediately. And literally the opposite happened. Like, that song launched my Ella Vos career. That song it had a viral moment.
White noise.
Yep. And then it was just a flood of people's stories coming in. And like, they weren't all about motherhood. It was just about the fact that like I was sharing something that was personal and also taboo. And I think it just seeing, even just like my mom be like, oh my gosh, like, you helped me see that I had postpartum depression when I was raising you and your brother. And like, I just had no idea. And like, it just gave me the confidence, like, oh, this is what's needed, and this is my purpose. And so it became less about like being vulnerable for the sake of being known, and more of like helping other people know themselves.
Yeah. And I can imagine during that time, did it ever feel overwhelming to receive so much outpouring of stories and personal anecdotes?
No, it didn't.
It filled your cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the power of music, and also vulnerability in a way. It's like when we take off our masks and when we are truthful in how we feel and share that with the world, it allows other people to feel the same way or tap into that.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
So as you were going through that, White Noise came out. You were going through your own experience. At that point, when you realized I'm not okay, Did you immediately seek out help or resources? Did you tell anyone?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I kind of just lived it for a while. It was, because my career was taking off, I kind of got swept up in that and felt like, oh, okay, well, to be a good, great artist, I have to suffer. So I kind of,
The old trope.
yeah. So I kind of was like, I have to keep suffering in order to make the next hit. And the pressure was on to have another white noise.
Yeah.
And
On
that's what,
top of everything you're already feeling.
yeah, like I was not being treated for postpartum. I waited 3 years to seek
Wow.
help. I was not really in love with my partner. I had a really difficult time in my marriage at that point, and becoming like going out and doing a solo artist project while being married to a musician who wanted to be as much of an artist as I was becoming put so much
It's a
strain
lot.
on our relationship. And I also had just a really difficult music collaborator um, who I wanted to please. And like we were building a business together, and I wanted to, I wanted to make it successful for him as well. So I had all this pressure, and I was financially supporting us. I was financially supporting my music partner's new label business. I was like, I can't slow down. I have to I have to keep suffering so I can make more art.
Just
And it wasn't
feels
until I was sick and got diagnosed with lymphoma cancer that I was like, okay, maybe some things need to change.
so it was that moment that
hmm
you looked inward and said something's gotta shift here.
Yeah. So then I went to therapy
Yep.
and worked through my postpartum depression, worked through a lot of my people pleasing, my shame, my guilt, my past traumas. I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of EMDR. I did EMDR for about 4 years.
You are not the first one on the show to talk about EMDR, but please share with the folks that are listening that might not be familiar.
EMDR is a reprogramming of trauma, and it's a it's a very it can be intense.
Yeah.
Um, but would say it's probably the best way to reprocess trauma without being re-traumatized. It was such a powerful tool because we used it for so many different areas of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't work on one thing for 4 years. We worked on so many
Yeah.
things
By using that treatment.
by using that treatment.
Yeah.
And the treatment's very simple. It's using rapid eye movement or tappers. It's a sensation of going left, right, left, right, left, right. And it's there's a format, there's a science to it, and it seriously works.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely it's saved people's lives, and it's a really powerful treatment. And of course, everyone, it's an individual experience, and of course, consult with your doctor or therapist if you're considering that. I've heard nothing but good things from folks that have tried it.
yeah, it's like taking, where trauma is stored in your brain and teaching your brain that that is not the present, that it happened and it happened
Yep.
then, and you're not in it right now. Because I was very much like in fight or flight all the time, feeling like whatever situation I was in, it was every situation I'd ever been in my life that was traumatic was all happening at the same time. And that's anxiety
Yeah.
causing.
Yeah. It's just all these things catapulting into one, and it tricks your brain into thinking that it's happening right now in the present.
Yeah.
And when your body's operating from a state of fight or flight over time, which it sounds like that's what you were experiencing, it then becomes your norm.
Oh, yeah.
You're in that state of an elevated nervous system, not permanently, but for a pretty damn long time, that's just all you know.
Yeah. And you can operate like that for your whole life. But you'll pay for it.
Yep. You'll eventually, the brakes will get slammed.
Yeah.
And I think, anyone who's experienced that knows that eventually the gas tank goes on empty.
Yeah.
Because it's not sustainable in the long term. But I think that also ties in with, your story and also the story of the world, which is go, 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 hustle,
Yeah.
hustle, hustle, climb the ladder, get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And how you're feeling comes second, which if we operated in reverse, we'd probably feel better overall.
Yeah. I agree.
So you were going through EMDR, you were treating postpartum, but still on like a go, go, go career-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I was very concerned since I had been diagnosed with cancer, I was doing cancer treatment and I shared that openly. And I felt like, that was around the same time that like algorithms changed and algorithms change socials, they change playlisting, and numbers started to go down. And it was like, okay, well, I can't stop and take care of my health without losing my career.
With the financial ties to your
Yeah.
career. Yeah.
And with just like people depending on me. So while I was doing cancer treatment, I still made an EP. I still played shows and festivals and did my best to just keep hustling. And then at the end of that, my partner was pretty much like, I think this is over. We're done. And we got divorced. And which was honestly like, I'm really glad that we made that decision. I'm glad that he brought it up.
Yeah.
And because I was really lost and like the go, go, go of like, well, we have this life, we just need to keep making it work. And he was like, no.
You were still operating from that mindset of like, I'm just going to push through whatever comes my way.
Yeah.
And he was the one that said, let's just cut ties. Yeah. Yeah. Which must have felt like ripping off a Band-Aid though, in a way.
Yeah.
Because you were feeling all those emotions pent up about everything that included.
Yeah.
I
just like, I could not make that decision, even though I knew it was also right. And, it'll always be a mutual decision, but like, I'm so grateful to him that he was the one to take that responsibility of making that decision.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah. And do you say that because you were still finding your voice?
Yeah, I still was like, I really had a hard time. Yeah, I still just kind of wanted to do what everyone wanted.
Yeah. The people pleasing.
I was people pleasing and very much afraid of like hurting other people's feelings or making them feel a certain way, which, you can't make anyone feel a certain way.
Nope.
People feel the way that they feel and that's theirs.
Yep.
And
you can't control that
either. You
either.
can't control it.
Nope.
And they have the right to feel the way they do and it's not your responsibility.
Yep. And you can't take on their feelings either.
No.
That's the other piece. It's
I also
like holding on to other people's feelings and keeping that burden on your shoulders.
Yeah. It was also around this time that I really learned like what a highly sensitive person was and that I was in that category.
Mm-hmm.
And so the tools that my therapist gave me really helped me make some big changes in my life of just not feeling everyone else's emotions and thinking that they're mine and thinking I need to figure them out and that I have to manage them. And because that's a lot of wear on yourself. That's especially on your body.
Yeah. Physically and mentally. Yeah. I think that's the greatest lesson I've learned in therapy over the years is like being an empath can be a really wonderful thing, but it can also be your own worst enemy in a way of
Yeah.
just taking on anyone's reactions and making it yours and internalizing their emotions when, like you said, it's not theirs. It's theirs to keep. And I just gotta tunnel vision myself and not hold on to that because it gets heavy.
It gets heavy. And like you can be there and you can hold their feelings, but outside of your body.
Yep. It can't become yours.
No.
And I think relationships, friendships, sure, even with parenting, you might feel that way
Yes.
of, wanting to fix or wanting to change or wanting to have a different outcome for things. But ultimately, it's not yours to carry. And when you're in a relationship, it takes two. When you're in a friendship, it takes two. There's always going to be that push and pull, that tug, that balance of where you're at to make it work.
Yeah. I started to think of it in a way where I was like, it's kind of selfish to think that I have all this power.
Yes.
And like I am just me. I have power over myself and that's about it. And I can't fix other people. I can like show them the way. I can show them my way. I can be there for them and listen. But like to think that I have the power to make someone feel differently, like is I think it's selfish.
Yeah.
And
we're all just human figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not like the people around me are not a reflection of me. I think that's the most important thing I've learned as a parent. It's like, my son is my son. He is not a reflection of my parenting or of me as a person.
He is his own person.
He is his own person.
Yep. And throughout his life is going to make choices you may not agree with.
Exactly.
And it doesn't change who you are.
No.
We're all individuals.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. I feel like nobody ever talks about that stuff.
Yeah.
Reclaiming, yes, what's yours, but ultimately we're all just figuring it out.
Yeah.
There's no magic formula to do anything.
Yeah.
So I know you started this conversation saying you need less judgment, but do you feel like you're applying this mindset of, I'm just me to this release, to your career?
I am. Yeah, I am.
It's still acknowledging that it's still, push and pull.
It's, I think it's the human struggle.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm like ever going to be so zen that I just, that doesn't exist anymore. I think it's a life journey. It's like, it's a project.
Yeah. Do you get preoccupied with the reaction now or, I won't say numbers because I personally think numbers are dumb, but are you ever concerned about like how they perceive the project? It's the night before the album comes out. It's May 22nd. It's about to be midnight.
Oh, no.
No. It's
I'm
outside
so
of you.
detached from the numbers now. It's like probably bad for my career, but also I'm like, I have a team. I have other people
who do their job. It's probably better for your mental health.
I don't need to try to do their job for them. That's, I'd rather empower them. And it matters. And if I see some like National Anthem came out last week and I've had a couple of people like friends be like, wow, the video's like doing really well on YouTube. Like, are you putting money into it or like you promoting it? And I was like, I don't know. I personally
Detached,
know.
yeah.
And I'm like, I think it's organically doing well. And I'm like, well, that's good information. I'm going to, just bookmark that. I'm going to highlight it with my team, make sure that they see that and make sure like, okay, is this a time where we want to put a little more effort to boost a video that's already doing well, a song that's doing well. But I don't feel stressed about it because I know it's, you put a song out into the world and it's kind of out of your control.
Yeah. And it's
And I don't have like endless amounts of money to just like pump it in. So I'm like, I know what my limitations are with what I can do, and I hope it does the best it
but it doesn't
can.
sound like that's what it's about for you.
No.
You know, it's not about how big can it get or how much money can I pour into it.
I think the other thing is I don't have a desire to be famous. I think if I had that drive, I would be really concerned with numbers. But that would, hopefully bring me joy. And, but personally, I have I don't want to be famous. Like, I really like making art for the sake of giving something back. And I hope that can sustain me in my life. But I'm not looking to be, you know, in the top even 400 artists on
Yep.
Spotify.
And you've identified that for yourself. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone is as self-aware
I mean,
to say that that's something I don't want.
When I started, I thought that's what I wanted. And I think most people think that is the way. Because I thought, well, this is what success looks like.
Yep.
So
it all comes back to like your definition of success.
Yeah. It's really hard to define what that is, though, and what it is for you, and to not compare. And I really thought I needed, 100 million streams on a song to be in the top 400, to have A, B, and C, and then I would be successful. And I think a lot of the turmoil that came in my first with my first music collaborator was me giving them these goals and then trying to create that future of the goals I was, presenting. And then I didn't enjoy the process of whatever, it was going to take to get there. And it was like, it wasn't necessarily their fault. It was like, I told them that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And they did the best that the way they thought that would, happen. And that was their full on focus. It didn't really matter how my mental health was. It was like, well, here's your goal, so let's make it happen. This is the way I know. And then it came a point where I was like, well, of course I want all those things, but like at the cost of what? Like, I don't want to give up my mental health to reach these goals that I won't be happy, and that I don't think I'll ever feel successful and satisfied if I have to sacrifice myself so much in order to get there. So I think understanding that maybe my goals needed to be different. I think that's so hard as a new artist. You just think like, well, this is what this person did, and I want to be where they are, so I'm going to follow their path.
You look at kind of like the checklist of numbers or ways you can quantify and say like, okay, well, once I do 1 + 1, then I'll get to 2, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah. I mean, Chappell Roan has said it many times, like, to get where she's at, she's like, I have, my mental health has suffered.
Right. And then you look inward and you're like, was it all worth it? Was this what I really wanted?
Yeah.
And I think that's such I really am thrilled to see that that's kind of the conversation right now in music a bit of, what are we all chasing and at what cost? You just said it. Am I going to sacrifice my mental health and my well-being for 100 million streams?
Yeah.
I look at it, and this sounds, slightly extreme, but like when we come to our final hours on this earth, is 100 million streams going to be what you're thinking about?
Nope.
And that's where
I hope not.
I hope not too. And if anyone is, we'll have a conversation. But I just feel like there's so much more to life and so much more to our purpose and what we do on our limited time on earth than chase, numbers, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. It can't be all that.
No.
It can be part of it, but it can't be all consuming.
Yeah.
And I think being a young artist right now, especially in the age of TikTok and algorithms, and I find it so interesting that you came up during like 2017 when Spotify was still the good guys, because it's just we're seeing such an evolution of artistry where, artists aren't putting things out unless the snippet does well on TikTok.
Yeah.
We're getting that fast access to people and
Yeah.
that feedback that then dictates our career. I'm saying our as if I'm an artist. I'm not, but I am just, that's kind of where we're at right now, and it doesn't feel as authentic or fulfilling.
Right. It's really interesting because at the same time, we are pushing that you need to be your most authentic self,
But within this box.
but within this box. And if your authentic self doesn't go viral, well,
Oops.
I guess you're not that great. And that is terrifying to me. Like, because I mean, how do I say this? We're already so vulnerable as artists. We already put ourselves out there. And whether you're like sharing your deepest, darkest secrets or not, you are you're presenting your art to the world. It's stuff that you've created and made. It's vulnerable.
It's like your diary.
Regardless of what the content is, you are making stuff and you're sharing it. And that's a feat in itself. And to then have yourself connected to it, and if it doesn't succeed, it's a reflection of like you as a person. We're going to see like a massive decline. I mean, not that we already have, but like a massive decline of like artists who can be their authentic self. Like it's just not going to be worth it. Our your mental health will keep you away from it. And
Yep.
like I see people, really dropping out of the music industry because there isn't enough support for new artists. And also it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I think that's the piece that I think about too, is just we're losing the longevity of artists, which
Right.
is heartbreaking.
Everything is based on like, if you get to this point in this amount of time, and if you don't, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that way for a while, but it's even more compacted now.
We're just seeing it a lot more now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's always existed, but now it just feels a lot more obvious that, an artist that you thought was taking over the world 3 years ago may or may not even be making music right now.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I just feel like, and of course there's a variety of factors and reasonings to that, but it's overall just unfortunate that we can't support our artist well enough to make it sustainable.
We're not creating, we're not thinking of artists as like career artists anymore. It's like, it's all about virality and
Quick and fast. Yep.
And one of the things I've really been working on with the artists I've been developing is thinking about the project and less of a what's going to hit and more of a like, what's your story?
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond the story is like, what kind of career do you want to have? Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? Because if we keep putting these limitations on artists, especially women, that like you can't start something new, or you won't, you can't have success after 30, which is so crazy. And I had coffee with an artist this morning, and she was like, I was told that since I was getting close to 27, that I better it was time to like make it or break it, and that I wouldn't have another chance. Like, no male artist is being told that.
Nope.
I love how Lady Gaga said, I'm 38 and I'm a pop star and I'm just getting started.
It's true.
Like, yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
And that should be said for everybody.
Also, you can start anytime, literally anytime.
Absolutely.
Everyone's prime happens in different periods of their life. Whenever is the time for you. I mean, it's like we see it in on the screen with actors. Yep. It's like, you don't have to start, why do we have to start this when we're in our 20s?
Yeah. You hear of actors who had a major career change into acting in their 40s. Before that they were working in a desk job or doing
why aren't we
different.
Applying the same to music? But yeah, I'm really interested in creating more sustainable careers for artists. So with that being said, I actually, not that I haven't been doing enough projects, but I am starting a production company.
Hey,
Yeah.
look at you.
Um,
Tell me more.
so it's
Or
called,
what can you share?
well, it's called Super Glue Records.
Nice.
And it's it's early days, but I want to create, like, I have a small team, and I think like I hate saying it's going to be artist friendly, but because I have been through it, I've been
Yep.
an artist, and uh just creating, like, seeing people, like, how can we make this work the rest of your life,
Yep.
and not something that's just going to take off immediately, and not giving up, and making it, financially sustainable for you.
Yeah. What has been the response when you're talking to emerging artists or the ones you're working with when you do ask those intentional questions?
I think it's hard for them to imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm sure you're asking very thought-provoking questions that don't have a yes or no, or,
They're like, wow, that sounds like a dream,
yeah.
a fantasy.
Yeah.
And, like, it's something I've fought for with my own career. Now that it's coming up on a decade of pursuing this career, it's like I'm definitely at the point where I'm like, well, I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to leave. What would I do? How do I make this work
Mm-hmm.
for me and enjoy it still?
And does this feel the way to do that?
Yeah,
Yeah. Pouring into others.
yeah,
Do you feel like you wish you had someone doing that for you when you first started 10 years ago?
absolutely.
Yeah. That's got to be what guides you a little bit too. It's just wishing you could be that person for someone else.
Yeah, it's like, if someone had been this person for me, like, wow, I would have been where I'm at now a lot sooner in life. And, or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe I needed to go through everything I did to, like, get where I am, but it would have been nice to have a guide or a mentor, just see more examples of it in mainstream without having to, like, dig for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, kudos to you, girl, because that, again, not everyone would have done that either. They could have
Yeah,
said, screw this, I'm out of here, get me the hell out of LA in this crazy scene.
totally.
But being willing to position yourself in that way to give back, but also just want to pour yourself into other people speaks to who you are, I think, and your character and how you view people and
Yeah.
artists. It's special.
Yeah, thanks.
I want to close on final question we ask everyone. What is one thing you've done today or this week to take care of yourself? Kind of like an accountability check-in.
I feel like I did a lot of things.
Okay, rattle them off.
Okay, well, I had a really nice early breakfast by myself this morning,
Nice.
and I felt very nourished. And I felt like that was something I was lacking, just like good, just
Like a
starting the
good,
day with
healthy meal.
good, healthy food, and just some solo like, not being on my phone. Since I was producing EP all week, it's been impossible to step away from the songs and not listen to them. And I didn't listen to them this morning. I was like, I'm gonna clear my ears.
Yep. Create a little bit of separation.
Yeah, come back to this with a fresh perspective. And I feel like, yeah, it was simple, but it was an act of self-care.
Yeah. Yeah, it was protecting your mind.
Yeah.
Amazing. Ella Vos, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Rosebuds is out May 23rd.
Yes.
It's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.